It's now time that we start making those toasts. So toasts, if you're not familiar, are basically pop-up messages that appear. So they will appear on your screen and they will sort of spring upwards. And as a result of that, that's why they're called toasts usually. So if we look on DaisyUI component list, where we have where's our toast? There's our toast. Okay, here's an example of some toast. So we can choose where we want it on the screen. I'm gonna go down to here because I want my toast to look like this in the bottom right hand corner. We can change the color of our toast as well. And so I'm going to use different toasts if the message that we want to relay to our users is successful or if it's not successful. So it's actually really straightforward. Well, actually, it's not that straightforward, but we're going to do it in as few steps as possible. So the toast itself is really simple. So we have this outer div, starts here and ends there. And what that does is that's like the outer section of our toast. And then these inner sections here, these contain the actual messages, the toast themselves. So you can see the first one here, alert, is the blue one. And the second one that says success is the green one. And then inside each individual, we have the span tag, which is basically the message itself. So we're going to create this programmatically. In other words, to do that, we're going to, first of all, we're going to generate this div using JavaScript. Then we're going to generate this div, and then we're going to generate the message and insert our message inside. And then we're going to add that to a div tag, to an ID. So first things first then, I'm going to go to our HTML page and where should we put this? Let's just put it anywhere for now, just be anywhere at the bottom. And we're going to create a div. So we're going to give it an ID and we're just going to call it toast container. So this is where we're going to be keeping our toast. At the moment, there's nothing in it, so we don't see it on the screen. That's fine. So then what we'll do is we'll go to our JavaScript and we'll start writing our function up. Now, I'm going to put this at the top above all my other functions because if I want my function to display a message, it needs to be able to see this function here. And if it's not at the top, and if it's underneath another function that needs it, it means it's in the wrong order. So let's write our function and we'll call our function show toast. And up to now, all the functions that we've written, as you can see here, look, make donuts, workers make donuts, hire worker, none of these have taken an argument. This is going to be different because whenever we call the show toast function, we want to be able to feed it a message that we want that message to work, right? So we're going to say here, we want to give it a message and we'll also give it a type because when we decide that we want a message, a pop-up, a toast, we want to be able to say if that color is going to be, a successful one is green, info for blue, error for red, etc. Right? So, so we have our message here. Our show toast function, and the first thing we're going to do, like we said, is we're going to create that outer div. So we're going to say toast equals document, and we've always used get element by HTML. Instead, this time we're going to use a function called create element, and the element is just going to be a div element. So we'll do that. Next then, inside the element that we've just created, we want to say class list, and then we want to run the function add. So inside that function now, what we're going to do is we're going to run, we're going to add toast into this new. So basically, we're creating this outer div, and as a class, we're going to add toast. We also want to add toast end. Right, so then now we've created the outer div. Now we want to create an inner div, right? So we're going to say, oops, create another constant variable. And we're going to call this one our alert. So the actual toast itself. Again, we're going to say exactly the same thing. Document dot create element. And once again, it's going to be another divider. And just like before, so now we're going to create another variable. Oh, sorry, we're now going to access that variable called alert. And we're going to say class list dot add. And I don't know why I didn't copy and paste. And this one is going to be alert. So we're going to add alert just like this one here has alert. And then we want to add alert and then a dash. And then that bit here, we're going to take from the function function, what do we call it? Argument. So we're going to say alert. So it's going to have alert. And then for this one, we're not going to use double quotes or single quotes. So next to the number 1 key on your keyboard, you have a slightly slanted apostrophe. What do we call this? I've forgotten. But the reason for that is this helps us interpolate. So basically, it helps us insert a variable within a string of text. So by just like the example here, it says alert and then dash. Here's the example, alert and dash. But we want this set part of it to change depending on whether the message is info, whether it's green, or it's going to be red. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to use a $ and open brackets, and then in open brackets we're going to type in type. Now the type comes from here. It comes from the function. So when we call the function, we're going to give it a message and a type. So that type is going to come from there. So that adds a style to our pop-up message. And now what we want to do is we want to create the span tag, right? We want to create the message. So again, we're going to create a constant variable, and we'll call this one message span. Or usually I should have said span message. It doesn't matter. So span message, and we're going to say document dot again create element. This time the element is not a div, it's going to be a span tag. Okay, and then inside that, we're going to say message span dot text content. So we're going to be giving it this message content. Message content is going to be the message that's passed through as an argument. Okay, so now what we've done, like we said, we've created 3 elements. Okay, and then we've said that we said what we want as a class inside each element, and inside the span tag we said what the message is that we want. Now what we have to do is we have to insert these elements one by one into each other, right? So we're going to start by saying, first of all, let's take the alert. So we'll take the alert dot append child, and inside the alert tag, we're going to insert the message span. So we're taking this and we're inserting it into this, right? Then after that, we're going to take the toast. So we'll now refer to the toast, the one that we created here, and we're going to insert this tag that we created. So again, same thing. Let me borrow that. I need to stop typing everything out. So the child that we're appending this time is the alert. That leaves us with, let me reduce the spaces here. I've got too many spaces, and I should be commenting. I'll write some comments in a bit. So what we're going to do then is we'll create another constant variable, and we're going to say toast container. Toast container equals document dot get element by ID, and the ID, if you remember, was toast container. So this this just gets the ID that we created. If I do this over here, all right. So this is the ID for our empty div. So now we're just going to get it here, and we're going to refer to that as toast container. And then just like we did with the others, let's borrow this. It makes it a bit easier. We'll do that, and we'll say toast container, and we'll say append child, and the child that's going to get appended, as you can probably guess, so we've appended this to the alert, and we've appended that to the toast. So now we're taking our toast and we're appending our toast to the div. Okay. Now that, in essence, that should work. And I think by default, the toasts are hidden. Okay. So when the function is called, we also want to say toast dot class list, and we want to add dot add show. That's not should be in capital. So you want to add show because I think by default they're hidden. Okay. Now, when we add show, what will happen is that that will remain on the screen. It won't disappear. So let's give that a go. So actually, to give that a go, first thing we've got to do is so once we've converted some donuts to money, we sold some donuts. Let's run that function. Let's say show toast. Okay, and like we said, we're going to give it an argument, right? So I could do it in two ways. I could just say you sold some donuts for money. I could just have a message like that, but it would be nicer if that message had a let's do intro here. If that message had a sort of a bit more context to it. So like, if I try that now, let's say sell donuts. Oh, error. Ah, rookie mistake. I've seen what I did. So over here where I've said toast container, my toast container has a hyphen, but over here it has an underscore. So my mistake. Let's change that to a hyphen as well. And hopefully, boom, right. So we've said we've sold some donuts. As you can see, this message is not disappearing. So I also want to make some changes. I also want a message to be more contextual. So at the bottom here, where we said you've sold some donuts for money, let's make some changes there. So let's change that so that we add a message like we did before. Let's delete that and let's use those slanted apostrophes. I really must find out what these are. And we're going to say you sold, and then inside we're going to add again. So we're going to add the dollar sign so that we can interpolate our variable. And the variable that we're going to add here is the one that says donuts to remove, which I spelled wrong. Donuts to remove, capital R. So you sold X amount of donuts for, and now we want to write the money. So we want to write a pound symbol. We'll have a dollar symbol because that's how we interpolate. And we're going to say money. No, not money, sorry. Oh, okay, that won't make sense. Oh, actually, a better way for me to do that would be to make a new variable here. So let's make a new variable here. So money, so we'll say here, we'll say money made equals, and that's going to be a local variable to this function. So money made equals, and we'll borrow that. We'll say donuts to remove, divide by 10. So we'll put that there. Okay, and then we'll take money made and we'll add that there. So here then we can refer to money made. So we know what money is, how much money's been made. Let's bring that in for a second. And then obviously we pass through the info as well, so we get the blue bubble. Do I need a full stop? You sold, yes, let's give a full stop because we like good punctuation and grammar. So now if we run it again, boom, it now told us you sold 500 donuts for £50. Don't forget we started at the top here. We've given ourselves 500 donuts so that we don't have to sit there and click away before we can do anything. And then lastly, let's make a little change here, right? So let's say, obviously, that's the correct grammar. You sold, okay. So now what we want to do is let's do an else. So we'll say else, and we will add another toast. Let's just do that, and oops, put that there. And we'll get rid of a message here. I don't need that. I can just do this. I can just say, you do not have enough donuts to sell. Oops. And then, but this one won't be an info. Okay, so I think in DaisyUI, if we go to colors, yeah, I know that in Bootstrap, for example, it should say, is it error or danger? But here we go. So the red in Bootstrap is error. So the type of message that we want to send then is, oops, here, error. So at first when we do it, it's obviously that much. Now I shouldn't have any other donuts to sell. So if I now do that, it now gives me a red error. But as you can see, what's not happening now is the message isn't disappearing. So if I scroll up back to where we have function for our show toast, we want to now run a short function that will make it disappear after a few moments. So we'll say for 2 seconds. So like we said, by default, the toasts are hidden, so we have to show it. Okay. Oh, did it just disappear? Oh no, it didn't. It's reset because I've made some changes to the code. So we want to do something called a set timeout. Set time out. Now we did something similar to this already when we did set interval. So we're going to run a set timeout function. Inside that, we'll do that, and we'll say equals. So we're now giving it how much time we want it to time out for. Let's open some curly brackets, and in here, we're going to say toast dot last list dot remove show. So if you remember, when we created the toast, we said toast classes dot add show, and now what we want to do is we want to remove show. When we remove show, it should automatically trigger the hide, but I'm not sure it does that. So if we give it a go. Oh, hold on. And we also want to say that we want that done just like when we did set interval. We want it done in 2 milliseconds or 2 seconds. So now if I click on show donuts, there's a message. It doesn't disappear. And okay, so maybe what we can do here. Oh yeah. So we may have to trigger that disappearing in CSS. So here we'll say for the toast class, toast.show, we want opacity. So how see-through it is, opacity, and we'll set it to 1. So when it's meant to be showing, it's visible. Let's add a little comment there. Oh, that's not how comments are done here. / asterisk / that's a comment. So let's make this one visible. And then what we'll do is we'll just copy this and we'll say what we want the toast to look like when it's time to hide. This may and may not work. So let's say opacity is 0, invisible. And let's give that a go. So after 2 seconds, oops, let's run that. 1, 2, it hasn't disappeared. So in that case, then I guess the correct way to do this would be to also, let's borrow that. Oh, actually, no, I shouldn't have done that. This one needs to be add, and this one needs to be hide. So now what should happen is it will remove show, and it will add the hide class to that particular div that we've created. So 1, 2, and then our div and our message, our toast disappears. So right, that's toast. Okay, so now we have our pop-up messages. So as a task for everyone that's been following this, is you've seen how I've added a message to my function convert to money, and this is a successful message. And then for an unsuccessful message, I've done another one using the error, so it's a red message. Now, what I'd like from you guys is that you go through each function, and if you think it's suitable, then you add a message to every other function that you deem it suitable. So for example, I wouldn't add one to make donuts, but I might add one to hire a worker, or if you don't have enough money to hire a worker. Okay, so I'll leave it there, and I'll see you guys in the next video.